Hey everybody, so have you been binging on You on Netflix? The reason I started watching it is actually because Kelly told me I better watch it. She said there's so much stuff in it that I would appreciate, and she was right, of course. Actually, quite a few people told me to read the book, and I was stubborn and I didn't listen to them. So now that it was a TV show and I had some time to binge over the holidays, I decided to give it a try and listen to Kelly for once. And oh my gosh, it's so good, and I could tell why Kelly told me to watch it. It has this sort of addictive nature to it that just makes for a great binge show. I have never seen any of the actors before in anything. So that was kind of refreshing. I know that Penn Badgley or Bagley or however you say it is from Gossip Girl, but I never got a chance to watch that one. So like I said, it was kind of nice sometimes to not know any of the actors. It doesn't give you any sort of preconceived notions or anything. And I really didn't know anything about the plot either, which was kind of fun too. It's hard in this day and age to like come into something really spoiler free. So it was nice to just, completely be taken away by the story. So I enjoyed right away that it takes place in a bookstore. Right away I'm like, okay, I can see why Kelly told me that I need to watch this, because the main character, he really loves books so much, and that was really fun for me. Right away I felt this sort of kinship with him, which of course makes for an even more complicated experience then, because Joe ends up being not such a nice guy. And I think what was so well done about this show is that the characters are so flawed and complicated. Not just Joe, but she is too. Beck is complicated. I mean, she's certainly not in the sphere that he is, but everyone has a story to tell, and so they're all these sort of fascinating characters. And he kind of gave me like a Dexter Morgan vibe at first, and but then and I'm going to get into spoilers now, when he kills Benji, it's clear that before, when he's like agonizing over killing him, it's clear that he doesn't have that sort of Dexter Morgan detached sort of view, and he isn't this killer, even though then we find out in his past that he is a killer. It's not quite in the same vein, so I appreciated that. And I think what kind of it keeps sticking in my head is sort of how they kind of play upon your, I guess, sort of his likability, Joe's likability, and especially for me, because he loves books so much, and he treats them like I do. That was something I noticed. Like, he didn't like at one point somebody put like a mug on a book, and I'm that person where I always sort of like to give them respect, no matter the book. And so seeing him work with books, talk about books, treat them the way he does, I just can't help but like him, even though he does these horrible things. I texted Kelly partway through the second episode, and I was like, I don't know how to feel. I'm so conflicted because he's doing these awful things, but I still like him. And I think that's what makes the show work is, yes, he does awful things that are not justified, that are terrible, that really are domestic violence, stalking, murder, all these things, and yet I still want to see what happens to him, and I still was worried about him getting caught, which makes no sense because I liked her too, and I didn't want bad things to happen to her. And so it just I don't know, it really played on my emotions, and I enjoyed it. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. It was really fun for me. I watched it really quick. I'm really excited that there's going to be a second season. I wonder how close it is to the book. I'd love to hear people who've read the book, how they compare it. I mean, I would definitely recommend it if I haven't spoiled it enough already for you. There's twists and turns, and I think the character interactions are the best part. And it's sort of like Dexter a little bit, but not. And I don't know, I enjoyed it, and it certainly makes you question a lot of sort of his motives, and your ability to like somebody like that, and then you really dislike him for a while, and then I don't know, it's just like this wild ride. So anyway, I really enjoyed You, and I'm curious to hear Kelly's bit on this, and I guess I'll tell her that she was right and that I watched a show that she told me to, and it worked out, so I should listen to her more often.
Meg, I'm so glad you liked You. I have been hearing about this show as it's been airing. I've seen people update on social media about how you have to watch this show, you have to catch it. And I think it was on Lifetime Network, and not that I'm a network snob, but I have never probably watched anything on Lifetime that I can think of, and I just didn't catch it for some reason. But then I saw the day after Christmas it was available on Netflix, and Netflix has now picked it up. It's going to be airing on Netflix for the second season. And I binged it in a day. I loved it. I was fortunate enough to have the day off and can do that. I realize that not everybody can, but wow, what a fun, bingeable show. I had watched Gossip Girl. I haven't seen Pretty Little Liars, which is one of the other main characters is from that show, but I think those have sort of that similar vibe. And this goes beyond that. So I don't want people to be worried that, oh, it's just another like teen drama kind of show, if that's not your thing. It's not. It's definitely different than that. As Meg mentioned, it's a little more on par, similar to Dexter in a way, but not exactly. And I loved it. All of the pop culture and literature references are amazing. The setting, New York City itself, the characters, this group of friends that Beck has, that is all fascinating to me. I love that she's an MFA student. She's got this situation with this professor where she's trying to play along so that he lets her keep her housing. And my goodness, if you know anything about New York City rent prices, her apartment looks pretty amazing. I would want to stay there too. But of course, she is able to get out of that bad situation with him by blackmailing him, and I was happy that that worked out. The neighbor situation with the domestic violence and him helping be a mentor to Paco, that was so sweet, and that gives Joe this level of likability that keeps you grounded and keeps you rooting for him, because it's important that he's helping him and is there for him. And they keep flashing back to Joe's own childhood and how Mr. Mooney raised him, and not in a great way. And so you're hoping it doesn't go down that road with Paco, and it didn't. I mean, he did end up helping him cover up a murder, Paco did, but they're in LA now and safe. But I just read season 2 is going to be taking place in LA. I guess the second part of the book, or the second book that this is based on, takes place in LA as well. So that's following suit. The character of Peach Salinger, she is so unlikable, and the actress did a great job. You don't really know her intentions. Is she being super careful, for her friend, helping her friend look out, not date a creepy guy, or does she want the best for her? You're not really sure of her intentions right away, but then slowly you start seeing, okay, she is manipulative. She is doing all of these things, or saying all of these things in front of Joe that are not great. And Annika, I thought that character was really fun, and her whole plot line, and then just all these peripheral characters are fun to watch and see and interact with. I highly recommend watching You. If you have read the book, like Meg said, tweet us, email us, tell us how you think it compares. And I can't wait for season 2. Until next time, we'll see you in the horror section.